for the last 7 or 8 years. Good afternoon. My name is Gina Terusio, and I'm the chair of the Administrative Committee of the Moscow City Council. To my right is Councilperson Art Bedke, and I am positive Ann Zabala, another councilperson who also serves in this committee, will be here very shortly. The first out, and to my left then is Gary Riedner, our city supervisor. The first item on our agenda is approval of Administrative Committee May 14th minutes.
Congrats, Lori. They look good to me.
They did to me too. So let's go ahead and approve those, sir.
Done.
Second item is the resolution accepting the FAA grant for Pullman Moscow Regional Airport. Mr. Riedner.
We have Tony Bean, the executive director of the Moscow, or on this side of the line, the Moscow Pullman Regional Airport. Even though our neighbors to the west wouldn't agree with that.
It's okay.
So Tony is here to present one of the series of grants for the Runway Realignment project. So I would turn that over to him. He's much
Awesome.
more conversant about it than I am.
Mr. Bean, welcome.
Thank you. So this is the typical, right before we get a grant with the federal government, with the two sponsors, the grant always shows up here, and please get signatures, and can you have it back to us by, 3 days. So we always pre-authorize the acceptance of the grant. We'll present the grant itself is $46 million in total, with the federal share being $42,264,800, and the local share $2,985,200, and then we have applied with Washington State Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division for $750,000. And this grant will take care of the remainder of the funding that is necessary to construct the runway. And then we'll have one more phase after that. We always ask for overage, especially now with the omnibus package being passed, was $3.35 billion for AIP, for the airport improvement program itself. And then the administration added an extra $1 billion into that. So the FAA is trying to figure out, we are a eligible airport for that and eligible sponsors for that, and we'll see how that comes out, but that direction really hasn't come out. Those funds will come out in 18, 19, and 20. So if they can issue, we're going to end up probably with 3 grants, but if we could get just one time we could get just one grant in a year, it would be great. Because it costs a bunch of extra time and a bunch of extra funds to run a series of grants. I think right now we're running 6. We just closed 1, and we're about to open 3 more, so we're going to have 8. And that's just a lot to.
Did you say $1 billion? B?
Billion? Billion with a B.
We could do a little bit with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So they're working on that. So are the budget requests is for this on the council agenda, and then there'll be a presentation on the program estimate and update, because we have, to this date, with the opening of bids on the runway, we have a figure for asphalt, we have a figure for earthwork, we have a figure for pipe, all of the pertinent things, and then we've got some things that we've seen with construction costs, and asking the FAA what they're seeing with construction costs come across both Washington and Oregon, and those will be in that program update as well.
Okay.
So this covers us up to the end of runway time?
This covers it up to the end of runway time and probably the design for the taxiway. I'm going to look at my thing down and make sure I'm right. Okay, so yeah, up to the design of the taxiway construction. And so there'll be another big package for taxiway, closing up the remainder of Airport Creek.
Okay.
And getting that portion there constructed. And then we'll be hopefully project complete as far as the runway is concerned.
But still more or less on target for the 10-10-19?
That's set in stone. If we miss that, we're in big trouble. We're too far down the road to miss that. So
Not going to miss that.
it was going to be 2018, and we'd have missed that definitely, just because of the way that funding's come out has been so strange.
So I think we should take the money.
I think so too. I will say that I read through the whole packet that we had, and was entertained by the fact that about every 10 pages there's
It's instructions.
we're going to end up with a reduction in paperwork act,
Yeah.
about every 10 pages.
The
So I
instructions.
thought that was kind of a fun sense of humor on their behalf. But I do agree, I'm with you.
Yeah.
We're going to recommend adoption of the attached resolution pre-authorizing the acceptance of grant offer AIP 353-0051-044 from the FAA Airport Improvement Program. And we need to put that on regular, right, because it's a
Resolution.
resolution?
You don't need to put it on regular, only ordinances need to go on regular, but I would suggest you do this one just because of the size of it.
It's gigantic, it's true.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, thank you. Our next item is the formal resolution adopting the Farmers Market Handbook. Jen Piffner. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So the handbook that we have before you was brought to the committee and through council earlier this year. The handbook is a complete revision of the market policies, includes quite a bit of updates, definitions, guidelines, jury process, those types of things. What we've done in the past is do a resolution or ask council to approve a resolution adopting the policies officially. The last time we did that was in 2012. And the policies hadn't seen any major updates since that time. And frankly, the policies that are included in the handbook now haven't been thoroughly updated. They're just reformatted and presented in a more, hopefully, simple and efficient manner. The major change that is in the policies is the fee adjustment that we discussed last year that has already been implemented and was approved by council. With that, we do have a resolution that will formally adopt these policies that we have before us at this time for the 18 season. They've been received very well by vendors to this point. It was very helpful to have their input over the winter when we worked on this, as long as the commission, it was truly a commission project, and they went through quite a bit of discussion through various subcommittees and amongst themselves, coming to the final product that is included in your packet again. So Daniel Stewart has done an exceptional job of pulling these together for us, a lot of pulling old information together for the definitions, just doing a lot of really good work to put it in one document that makes good, clear sense for our vendors.
Do you have any questions?
A couple of them. I was reading through the thing, and you've got the market setup paragraph of page 19 of 35 in there. It says you got to be completely set up by 7:30 and get the cars out, but it doesn't say when you can start
Sales?
setting up.
Oh, that's been, we'll have to look at including some more
There's-
information
yeah,
on
there's,
that.
2 a.m. right after the bars close.
Yeah, it's
or-
typically, I know Daniel sends that information out each week in his vendor email, for instance, but it might be helpful to have that
Yep.
outlined in the policies. That's
And
good.
also, I didn't see it, but is there any discussion of the free speech area?
That is included in the policies, and also has a separate resolution that is not included in the policies in regards to Friendship Square and the nonprofit wall. I believe, I've got to remember where it's at.
I kind of perused through quickly, so it's likely I missed it
Right.
if it's in there, but still it occurred to me.
Is- And we may have it outlined in that separate resolution, and then
It'd be
we
handy to
added
have
it
it
as
in
an
the manual,
appendix
though.
too, though.
I would agree with you there. I think that was an area, when I remember my days of serving on the
That-
commission, that was one of those areas that we stumbled over multiple times. So maybe even on the map, you're thinking?
Yeah, on the
Maybe
map
it's-
and maybe a separate
Right.
little blurb.
I can follow up to make sure we get that original resolution outlining that.
And some kind of reference in the manual, just because the manual is what everybody's going to read.
Yeah.
And it helps with the understanding. Why is it even there? So
Right.
Yeah.
anyway, those were my two comments. Otherwise, I thought it looked great and was very explanatory of how things work.
And in a very cool, calm, gentle
Rational.
set of policies. I thought it was really nicely done.
Yes.
So thank you for that, you and the commission for that amount of work to get that there.
And for all the work of pulling together all that detail
Yeah.
into some kind of coherence.
I have to thank Kathleen Byrne. She was the one who started with market policies many years ago. So she started this going down this road, and it was just time for a little bit of an overhaul. And so that's how we came up with the handbook. So,
Jen, is it possible to make those adjustments prior to going to council?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that information's already been shared with vendors. It would just be a matter of including it in the handbook. And that resolution for the nonprofit or free speech wall, we could add in as appendix and note it as such.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so with that caveat, we recommend approval of the attached resolution adopting the farmers market policies. Adopting the farmers market policies adopted by the city council on March 5th, 2018. We adopted twice, but we're recommending adopting again.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah, good work. And I think that probably should be on the regular agenda too, just because that's pretty serious.
And we can hit on those two adjustments.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so our fourth item on our agenda, Jen, you should stay right where you're at, is the Moscow Farmers Market Commission request for nicotine-free market.
Yes, the Farmers Market Commission has reviewed the use of cigarettes in the market and has requested a resolution making it a cigarette-free market in essence, or a smoke-free market. What we've encountered recently is vape pens and the secondhand vape that is becoming more and more of an issue. The commission, in reviewing this, looked at the Department of Health and Welfare that also offers a nicotine-free option. They provide signage, education, lots of different things, and thought perhaps this would be a good opportunity to look at a nicotine-free market to help us deal with the vape pens, the cigarettes, pipes, the whole gamut. And they cited a few different things when it's difficult to manage, for instance, vape on a regular basis, or cigarettes because you've only got so many staff and the market's a moving thing. In addition, the encountering chew spit and some of those types of things in the market is less than desirable. And then also that we have so many people in such really a small space when you get that many people together. Thought it would be appropriate to propose a nicotine-free market at this time.
Well phrased. A couple of blurbs. One on the vape pens is we learned from some of our previous education on council, you can put all kinds of things in a vape pen.
Indeed.
Therein lies the trouble. Yeah.
Yes. And some of the things in vape pens are not legal in Idaho. So, and you wouldn't know the difference if they were sitting right next to you. So I think it's probably behooves us to make a broader blanket. One further question, and this sort of relates to the next item on the agenda, is what about cigarettes and vapes in the sidewalk cafes along the way? And how do we handle that relative to the farmer's market being exactly adjacent to it?
Well, we do not allow smoking in bars or in restaurants. So they would not be, in my opinion, I have to research this and talk to the city attorney, but in my opinion, those would be prohibited in those extensions of eating establishments or drinking establishments. So we can certainly follow up on that.
Yeah, it might be just good to clarify that bit.
Certainly can. That would not only be during the farmer's market.
Yeah. Right.
So that caveat then, do we have that clarification in this resolution? That I think it's fair to put that in there.
We could just report on it as to whether it is allowed or not allowed. This resolution really has no effect on it. It's either legal or illegal. If it is legal, if the interpretation is that it is legal at this point, then it probably needs to be included in here.
Okay.
But my suspicion, my
I don't believe.
steel trap legal mind is that because it is an extension of those uses, that it would not be
Okay.
allowed.
All right, if you follow back up with us on that, that'd be awesome. But otherwise, I think we're good
Yep.
with approving the attached resolution. And then again, that one needs to be on regular.
Yep, the caveat kid's good with that.
Okay, good. You are kind of full of caveats today, which is good. Okay, Jen, wow, I hope you're comfortable. Our fifth item is the Moscow Farmers Market Commission request to adjust regulations relating to pets at the market.
We have in the past restricted the access of pets to the eastern sidewalk of the market, which would be on the fountain side of Main Street. And that was adopted in 2012.
Indeed.
What we've seen since then is that it works well for getting people down Main Street. That was the idea, getting them somewhat of an access to the market, but then where we have food, we have small children, things like that in the market proper area, the thoroughfare there, having just our guide dogs or ADA assistance dogs in that area. What we've found is the eastern sidewalk is somewhat of a confusing description in some instances. What we'd like to propose, what the Market Commission would like to propose, is opening up both sidewalks on either side of Main Street, allowing for thoroughfare of dogs, pets, and other animals, restricting the main market thoroughfare, as allowable by ADA accessible, or excuse me, ADA assistance pets, as they have been. Done a couple of things to try to get over the eastern sidewalk confusion. There's last year that we did a pretty hefty Midas the Guide Dog educational campaign. Lots of signs, very cute dog, noting, okay, this is where pets can go, this is where service animals can go. And we've run into instances of up to 15 instances of pets in the market per market day. So we just aren't able to really convey that, stick to the eastern side. So like we said, wanted to do both the eastern and western. The other reason is because sidewalk cafes do allow pets or animals as appropriate. Without that access to the sidewalks, they're unable to reach those sidewalk cafes. So thought just that two-way really traffic, two-sided traffic to the street might be beneficial and provide a good balance for what we're seeing with our sidewalk cafes, what we're seeing with pets coming close to the market but not in the market, and go from there.
But also precluding transit of the market at 5th Street, 4th Street. You have to go around to the end.
Oh, exactly.
What? I would have to go back and look at how we address the intersections. I apologize. I think the intent was there was no crossing except at the end because you couldn't be on the sidewalk on the opposite side.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. With that ability, there would be a question of the intersections and how we address those.
How are we addressing the safety? I remember this being a safety issue, thinking about the dog wrapping around a, person with a disability or something like that. How I get Moscow as a dog and cat and service cow industry, or a community, but we need to be cognizant of that as well. How are you?
And in the market area, what we've done is try to work through that with education and just redirection, which, please get to the sidewalk or the pet is allowed. And just trying to provide more access for those pets to get from point A to point B down Main Street. We have not had any safety issues to date, knock on wood. Do monitor that regularly. There are also a couple of times a year we'll have a code enforcement officer come down and talk about just those things. Hey, this is why we use the sidewalk. Prevent small children and dogs or leashes and or dogs and food, some of those interactions that could create those potentially negative situations.
Yeah.
Sir.
You recall safety was only one aspect of the issue.
Right.
Also had to do with unfriendly dogs from a safety standpoint, as well as sanitation, because dogs were at the same level. Some dogs were at the same level as food that was being prepared. So there were a lot of reasons that the council and the Farmers Market Commission, or at least the vendors at that time, had some issues with dogs in the market. So safety is just one aspect of that. So we wanted to make sure we reiterated that as well. Where'd this come from? Was it the businesses saying you're pampering our business during the market hours, or was it dog people saying we want our dogs with us? How did this begin?
There's a high volume of reminding people which sidewalk their dogs could be on. Just the number of interactions market staff was seeing on a weekly basis, and trying to say, oh, good, you can use the eastern sidewalk. Which way's east? Kind of idea. So just providing an easier, more explainable approach for a puppy-friendly.
Yeah, I'm in favor of opening up the sidewalks on both sides, but, with a little more thought about the intersection zones.
Absolutely.
But I think it kind of bridges the gap between what people want to do, what they're currently doing, and where the market is and isn't. I think it's a nice compromise to be pet-friendly and at the same time keep the market running the way we would like it run.
I'm going to agree with you on this, but I'm not entirely convinced that we've answered the safety question. And I think opening up the second sidewalk does indeed double our chances for some of the things you mentioned, sanitation and angry dogs and that sort of thing. Now, I was up at 3:15 with my dog this morning, so I will tell you I'm as pet-friendly as the rest of them. So I think we'll recommend approval, but I want to have this conversation with the full council. So if we can do that, sir, put it on the regular agenda, that'd be good. Okay, it looks like we have blown through another agenda.
Darn quick, too.
We don't have any reports or anything, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Shall we adjourn?
Let's go.
Okay. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Mr. Reedner, you too.